the sheriff of hatred, fanaticism, malevolence, and revenge, Todd Baxter of Monroe County. My name is Christopher Johns. Yes, I've never committed a crime. This is a building at 2025 Penfield Road. What's on that building, Todd Baxter? What's on the corner of that building? The sheriff of hatred, malevolence, fanaticism, and revenge. That's your camera that you bought. Right there. I'm going to hold it up close. Do you know why it's called a surveillance device? Because I was on it, you bald-headed criminal. And you refused to send me the original image. That's called a surveillance device that you bought. I'm going to tell the United States Department of Justice you bought it. If you didn't buy it, then tell me you didn't buy it. But if you didn't buy it, then it's technology on this building at 2025 Penfield Road for a business called Consumer Insights that you accessed using taxpayer dollars. You were provided by the people of Monroe County. So what's the answer? I will tell the United States Department of Justice you bought this device, also called a surveillance device, and affixed it to 2025 Penfield Road to concoct a crime for me for walking through this parking lot. That's what I'm going to tell the United States Department of Justice. Party-switching, bald-headed Todd Baxter, who doesn't know if he's a Republican or a Democrat. Every single person employed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, or Jonestown, can walk through this parking lot without being arrested. Why is that? Every single person employed at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, the Jonestown party switching Sandra Dorley can walk through this parking lot without being arrested. Why is that? Every single person in Penfield, New York, 36,000 can walk through this parking lot without being arrested. Why is that? Every single person in Monroe County with a population of 200 plus thousand can walk through this parking lot without being arrested. Why is that? Every single person in the state of New York, 17.9 million, can walk through this parking lot without being arrested. Why is that? Every single American from Montauk Point, New York to Los Angeles, California can walk through this parking lot without being arrested. Why is that? Tell your $67,000 a year nauseating, corrupt tax Shannon Meyer to answer those questions. I speak to this repulsive hack, and you should be able to identify a repulsive hack because you are one, on the phone for an hour of my time. I answer every question. I have no idea that this bankrupt stooge is writing a warrant for my arrest for walking through that park, but not anybody else. So where's my 14th Amendment right to equal protection laws? That's your surveillance device, because I'm walking through the parking lot. I've said this to you many times. I'm going to demand information from you on this YouTube, but when I come here, I'll repeat myself as to the reasons why I'm on here. If somebody's watching it for the first time, I don't know who's watching it. And I don't care if anybody at the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office is watching it. The only individuals I care about are the employees at the United States Department of Justice and the employees that work for Governor Andrew Cuomo and the employees that work for the Speaker Majority and all. But that's the audience. That's the audience I'm trying to reach. So if you're not watching, you're not watching. But I'm trying to reach you. So you can wallow in ignorance. You can say, we didn't know he was on YouTube. We didn't know he made these accusations. We didn't know he defended himself. We didn't know he spoke the truth. You can walk through this parking lot, bald-headed, party-switching, fascist stooge, Todd Baxter, not be arrested. Why is that? Do you have a different 14th Amendment right than I do? You can walk through this parking lot, King of New York, #1, Sandra Dorley, without being arrested. Why is that? Do you, sweetheart, have a different 14th Amendment right than I do? Do the employees at the District Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Office, have a different 14th Amendment right than I do? I'm walking through the parking lot here for the 4,000th time as Nayraj Shah is in his vehicle. Now, the reason why you never heard my name is my dentist, Dr. Gloria Nichols, was at 2025 Penfield Road. And she would see people walk through this parking lot every day. And Dr. Gloria Nichols never behaved in the way I'm about to describe. I walked through the parking lot for the 4,000th time, bald-headed criminal. And Nayraj Shah is in his vehicle screaming at me. He doesn't tell Shannon Meyer this. So I walk up to him. I attempt to have a conversation. He is still screaming, losing his mind. 50-plus-year-old man living with a 70-plus-year-old mother. This is what they're doing. Because their lives are shallow. Their lives are painful. That's what I believe. And I'm trying not to have an animosity toward them because I think that they're sick and ill, but they are committed to destroying my life, and I can't have any type of sympathy for these two at all. They're going to you for me walking through a parking lot and you cannot identify the Lunatic Fringe and Layla Kumar and A-Rod shot because you are the Lunatic Fringe. And here's this guy screaming at me. I attempt to have a conversation. He doesn't want to talk. I walk away. He's still screaming. I give him the official finger of Brooklyn, New York, and I tell him to fuck off. He doesn't tell Shannon Meyer he's screaming at me. And the accusatory instrument makes it appear that I walked up to him and provoked the confrontation when he's the one that is screaming in his vehicle. How is it a crime to walk through his parking lot? A United States Department of Justice employee contacts you, Todd Baxter, and says, how's it a crime for Chris Chichester or anybody else to walk through this parking lot? Because the accusatory instrument is that the defendant, how am I defendant on a piece of paper, Perry Duckles? Why don't you ask #1 King of New York, Sandra Dorley, how I'm a defendant on a piece of paper? On the above location of 1440 hours, did knowingly enter or remain unlawfully upon the premises 2041 Penfield, New York, by walking through the parking lot, being told by certified mail by police that he's not on the property. Then you should send this to 20 people a day. You should send this to Penfield High School students. You should arrest 20 people a day. You should arrest Penfield High School students. You should arrest my neighbor, my excellent friend who lives next to me. You should arrest the elderly woman across the street. People all day long are walking through this parking lot. And the Lunatic Fringe sickness of Todd Baxter targets me, and that's the word. Because when A-Rod Shah is screaming at me, Elliot Roth, how did this device get on this building? This is not Bedford-Stuyvesant in 1975, Elliot. Have you noticed that? About your little business consumer insights. Yo, am I getting a good deal at $6.49 on Red Bull at the Wegmans Food Market's headquarters of Todd Baxter? Elliot, is that a good deal for me? Can you give me a consumer insight? If I'm paying the right amount of money for Red Bull at the Wegmans Food Market's headquarters of Todd Baxter. So, Elliot, I will tell the United States Department of Justice employees that Todd Baxter bought this camera, also called a surveillance device, and put it on your building, Elliot. So you received this on December 9th. You received this 50 plus times. This language I'm about to read. Freedom of information on the cost of a surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars by Monmouth County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter and fixed to a building in 2025 Penfield Road to Monmouth, Chris Chichester, 26 Sanders Farm Drive. Walks through the parking lot next to the building. You won't even tell me how much you paid for it. But if you want information, you bald-headed criminal, you damn well better acquire that information. And citizens demanding information from you, and you're accountable to citizens using the Freedom of Information Law, and it does not matter to you. I sent that to you on December 9th, over and over and over, 50 plus times. And the cost is easy to provide because you know the cost. Does the original image of me exist when Shannon Meyer fell down in my backyard as described on a previous YouTube? And then she runs around to the front, and your 5 other fanatics are here. This is why people hate the police. 6 of you are here for me just walking. Are you planning to do this to me, you sick hack? I walk outside, say nobody owns that land. Tell the guy on his tracks for Brock Tree and Lawn Care and walk back to my own residence. How is that a crime? Bald-headed Todd Baxter. How is that criminal contempt? Tell me how that's a crime. I'm going to pretend that I'm an employee at the United States Department of Justice. Sheriff Todd Baxter of Monroe County, New York, how is it a crime for Chris Chichester to walk outside, stand on Sanders Farm Drive where he lives, and tell a guy in his tractor from Brock Tree and Lawn Care, no one owns the land next to his residence, and walk back in his residence? How's that criminal contempt? Sheriff Todd Baxter of Monroe County. How do you answer that question? Are you going to be deer in the headlights? Are you going to be deer in the headlights, Baxter? I go to the now defunct PW Fitness. I'm on the bench press. Up walks to me Jermaine Bem. He punches down. My head snaps back violently. What would you think if Kevin Baxter, Zachary Baxter, is on a bench press at a gym? And up walks to Kevin Baxter, Zachary Baxter, Jermaine Bem. And Jermaine Bem punches down. And the head of Kevin Baxter, Zachary Baxter, snaps back violently. And then Andrew Reale arrives. $79,000 public employee is going to concoct the crime for Zachary Baxter, Kevin Baxter. And then Zachary Baxter, Kevin Baxter go out to the vehicle of $79,000 Andrew Reale. And Andrew Reale tells Kevin Baxter or Zachary Baxter to sit in the backseat of the vehicle. And then Zachary Baxter, Kevin Baxter looking at the front as Andrew Reale tells Jermaine Bem what to say. And then Jermaine Bem walks around to the side of the vehicle. Zachary Baxter, Kevin Baxter look left. And Jermaine Bem says, I want to press charges against you. And with those 7 words, Zachary Baxter or Kevin Baxter is charged with harassment second. What would Mrs. Todd Baxter think about Kevin Baxter and Zachary Baxter being charged with harassment second, sitting in the backseat of Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle? I had to tell my 78-year-old mother and my 84-year-old father about these days, these disgusting concoctions, and there's going to be other days that you have done to me. You have done this to me because you're consumed by hatred, and your employees are consumed by hatred, and it is a pathetic, nauseating reality in Monroe County that your employees, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, do not know what constitutes criminal behavior. I was born on July 4th, 1965. I was honorably discharged as a 22-year-old Sergeant E5 from 2nd Squadron, 17 Cavalry, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault on May 27, 1988. From July 4th, 1965 until May 27, 1988, I have zero arrests, zero crimes. From May 27th, 1988 until the day I came outside and stood here 18 months ago and said nobody owns Atlanta, walked back in my residence, I got one speeding ticket. Driving down Washington Avenue on my way to the Capitol where I worked for 7 years. So, nothing. From the date of my birth till I ETS from the military, and then from the day I ETS from the military until that day you descended on me with your $67,000 a year criminal Shannon Meyer, I got one speeding ticket, which was dismissed. And I had no points, nothing, because I went to Albany City Hall, appeared before the judge. There was a sidebar with an attorney, my friend, called for me, and that was it. So the speeding ticket I received, no points, nothing, no fine, nothing. Until you and your repulsive Jonestown, your collection of Kool-Aid drinkers, your ciphers who can't even identify what a crime is, started to concoct crimes for me. Your employee, you bald-headed criminal, Don Benedetto, that you pay $85,000 to, came here on August 30th and walked onto the private property of my neighbor and stood near her window. And then after midnight, I walk along the trees here, can't see here, and they come running at me from the trees. The body cam goes on. Where's that body camera footage? Send it to me. Click reply and send it to me. $0, Michael Rowley. Pay $0. Do something for $0 and send me the body cam footage. Here your employees are running at me. I don't know what that is. I turn around and run away because I don't know who it is. Then I run up my back porch. Your employee, party-switching, bald-headed criminal Todd Baxter, grabbed my arm. The hammer I just grabbed that I used to fix my bike goes up. I pull away, I run back through the sliding glass door. What crime am I committing? Again, the concoction of a crime by your fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths. What's their names? Tell me the names of your two employees that walked onto the private property of my neighbor, hid in the bushes, waited for me, ran at me, and then concocted a felony on my back porch when I'm not committing a crime. What are their names, you bald-headed criminal? What are their names? And you will refuse to tell me even their names. I was in jail for that. And when I was in jail, I was demanding over and over and over, when am I going to be released, and why was I in Livingston County? Paula Metzer, you disgusting hack. How's that explained? That I was in Livingston County and I'm not told. Paula Metzer, pay attention. I will never come into Penfield Town Court. Come and get me, Todd Baxter. I'm an innocent man. I'm not going in there because this repulsive hack is summoning me where the prosecutor hasn't talked. How's that explained, Sandra Dorley? And explain how it's a crime for me to go outside here, Todd Baxter, and say nobody owns that land. Explain to me who I'm harassing. Explain to me how I am guilty of a felony on my back porch when I'm not swinging a hammer that the employee concocted. Jonestown, Todd Baxter, you are why Americans hate the police, and you are so delusional in your bald-headed 1984. You don't know why Americans hate the police. I'm going to guess, watch television with Mrs. Fascist Stooge, and there are movements all over the country to defund the police, and there are people on TV protesting the police and calling the police animals and psychopaths, and you're an animal and a psychopath, Todd Baxter, and you don't know it. And you're sitting in front of the TV in all your bald-headed glory, and you don't even know. You are totally oblivious to why people hate the police. And I've never hated the police. I saw the police, state police, for 7 years I worked in the Capitol. I saw the Washington, D.C. police for 5 years I worked in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill as U.S. Senate, U.S. House of Representative staffer. And I thought, that's the police. They're doing their jobs. Now I hate the police. I will hate the police until I am 6 feet under in a coffin. So, Paul, that's what this is attached. And you're going to receive it relentlessly. But you've already received this 12 times. I have 12 of these documents in here. I have this language. The name, charges, sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Lenzo Jr., James P. Valley Jr., and Paul Metzer, Perry Douglas. Everybody's guilty in Penfield Town Court. That's the way you want it, right? That's the conclusion I have reached because you're refusing to answer. I have a YouTube with your name on it. You want to tell me the name of your prosecutor who stood in total silence before 70-year-old hack John P. Lomenzo Jr. and next before bald-headed wig-wearing Paul Metzer Perry? How am I delivered to jail? First to Monroe County Jail, next to Livingston County Jail, in a county I don't live in, when a prosecutor doesn't talk to court. Suspend the operations of Penfield Town Court by simply redirecting defendants to other jurisdictions in Monroe County and let Paula C. Metzler and James C. Mulley Jr. sit there and do nothing. And then you can spare innocent citizens from having to declare their innocence. like me don't have civil and constitutional rights in the state of New York? Perry Duckles, can you answer that question for $129,525? Perry Duckles, do I have civil and constitutional rights in the state of New York? You paid $129,525. What's the answer, Perry? I'm going to tell you what the answer is, Perry. The answer is no. This Todd Baxter is your re-election defeat. You're such a Jonestown Kool-Aid drinker. You think you can pay your employees anything you want. It's not going to be repercussions, ramifications, or consequences. There are repercussions, ramifications, and consequences. You know what they are? Your election defeat. You are guaranteed a primary by this. If you somehow manage to survive the primary, your new party, the Democratic primary, you say anything, party switching fraud, and you make it to the general election, you'll lose the general election. You're going to lose the primary in the general election. And that's because of your $100,000 cops right here. Jansen McNair, $104,938. Kevin C. Kaiser, $110,868. Edward L. Krenzer Jr., $118,787. John M. DiMartino, $101,843. Matthew J. Vanduzzi, $130,433. John R. Kennedy, $110,868. James McGowan, $110,868. Dale Earn, $110,868. Thomas A. Sarkis, $101,843. Matthew J. Vanduzzi, what do you do at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office for $130,433? Do you, Matthew, know you paid $2,100 less than bald-headed party-switching Todd Baxter? Does that occur in the big brain of Matthew? What do you do? How do you think, Matthew, your boss survives after what I just read? Like, for example, when I tell the Democrat and Chronicle relentlessly, it's not going to be just once. The media has to be told things over and over. When I go and I approach the editor, Michael Caine, the Democrat and Chronicle, and bald-headed Todd Baxter is running for election, and I say, Michael, this Matthew J. Vanduzzi at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office is paid $130,433. How do you think that's going to go over with voters? I'm going to tell you how that's going to go over. They're not going to vote for Todd Baxter. That's how that's going to go over. Surveillance device. Surveillance device back. So I'm using this phrase, surveillance device. And you know what you did, Michael Radler, Kathleen Miller, William Tadeo, and Scott O'Berty. I use this phrase, and you call Lindsey Barron at the Monroe County Office of Mental Health to come to my residence. It's your fucking surveillance device there at Jonestown Baxter. Do you understand me, $0 Michael Radler? Do you understand me, Kathleen Miller? Do you understand me, William Tadeo? Do you understand me, Scott O'Berty? You bought this surveillance device. When Mike Pompeo uses the phrase surveillance device, are you whack jobs calling up Lindsey Barron at the Monroe County Office of Mental Health to go to Langley to talk to him? That's your camera. That's your surveillance device. You bought it, and you know you can lie about it because you know that there are mentally ill Americans who think they're under surveillance by the government, and no one knows what they're talking about. You bought this camera. I was on it. This image was on the phone of your employee. And the reason why you refused to send it, you can check your emails 50 plus times. Send me that image. Because on the image, I come out here, I say nobody owns Atlanta, I walk back in my residence. The reason why you refuse to send it to me is that's not a crime. And if any citizen of Monroe County sees how you descended on me with Shannon Meyer and your 6 degenerates, how do you explain that to the people of Monroe County when you run for election? Because that's not a crime. I'm told it doesn't exist. I don't believe that. It has to exist. Then you destroy the public record. And how is that not a crime? I'm very careful and precise with my language. I don't want to say behavior is a crime when I'm not convinced it's a crime. But the video image of me coming out here was on the phone because when I was taken to Jonestown jail and handcuffed inside the bathroom and I couldn't reach the urinal and urinated on myself, that's when your employee showed me this image. So I've been demanding it, and you're refusing to provide it to me. And does the record not exist anymore? Then you destroy the image. How can I not reach that conclusion that it's destroyed the image? This is the sick lunatic Fringe right here. You, Todd Baxter, are right here. This is you. You should have your face right next to this surveillance device right here. And there should be a caption underneath it. Your face, Todd Baxter, that says sick lunatic Fringe. Because that's you. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime.